Earth is 4.5 billion years old, and through that time, Earth changed its environment an uncountable number of times. No matter how far you look back at its history, there is always something interesting going on. So let's go back in time, specifically 20 million years ago, and see what was a day back then like. So a day was just a bit shorter back 20 million years ago because the Earth's rotation was faster. And also every day Earth's rotation is slowing down by a tiny amount. So looking at planet Earth from space, you would recognize that it is Earth, but it would look odd. Some continents would be more separated and distorted. There would be less ice and polar caps. They would look more naked. The sea level would be more elevated as well. But overall, you would know what you are looking at. But despite that, the whole planet would seem to be less green. That is because grasslands would be much less established. Grass did exist back then, but it hasn't fully spread. As you would approach Earth and fly through Europe, you would see a landscape that is a bit different than it is today. For one, there would be different mountains. There would be more empty areas and much more water. The Mediterranean Sea would be huge. It would be fully connected to the Persian Gulf. And the Red Sea would barely even exist. And Black Sea would be connected to the Caspian Sea, which is today a lake. They together would comprise a gigantic area, covering large part of today's Europe and Asia in water. As you would fly more north, you would see that Europe and Africa were fully connected. Flying through Asia, you would see that most of it is very similar, except for Southeast Asia, where it would be almost all connected. There would not be thousands of islands as there are today. Australia and New Zealand would also appear to be even more separated from the rest of the continents. Flying through North and South America would surprisingly be not that different from looking at today's North and South America. But there would not be today's coast. Actually, most of today's coast that is here now would be fully underwater. Florida would also be fully underwater. And the poles would be very odd. Some parts of Antarctica would be fully dry and would not even have snow. Same with the Arctic. Now let's say you wanted to go down and see what is going on land. If you were in North America, as you would wander through forests, it would seem like you are on another planet, similar to Earth, since it would all seem familiar, but it would not exactly look like it looks today. That is because most of the things we are seeing today began evolving at that time. So you would be looking at ancestors of today's species. They would seem familiar, but all different. You would be able to see some of the largest flying birds that ever existed, with wingspans of up to 7 meters in length. You should be careful while going through forests, because there would be gigantic carnivores. Throughout all of the continents would also be different species in huge forms. You would see first giraffes, hyenas, bears, and deers that ever walked the earth, but they would look different from what they look like today. And if you're scared, don't go searching for humans, because back then, not even great apes existed. The closest thing you would find to looking like a human is something like a gibbon, so there would be nothing to accompany you really. The whole planet would be very scary, with different plants, giant birds, giant carnivores, giant mammals that don't even exist today, and much more. Who knows what would try to eat you. And don't go running towards water either. What would await you are gigantic sharks and other fish. For one, it should already scare you that during that time you're visiting there would be also in the water the largest shark that ever existed, Megalodon, a 24-meter long shark. That is as long as a 5-story building. And they were everywhere. Fossils are scattered throughout the whole world, and are present mostly on shores. So you should know that if you want to jump into water. So, all in all, it would be quite an interesting and a scary experience to spend a day on Earth back 20 million years ago. It would be like a new planet that reminded you a lot of the current one.